Good morning, class. Happy reading today. We're in the small book, a reading writing workshop. We're on chapter 2-3, unit 2, chapter 3. You should be on page 118. It's got the picture of a zebra on it. Remember, this whole unit is talking about how can animals change stories. Our essential question today is how are all living things connected? Now we're going to see how animals are connected to each other. This one reads a lot like a science book. The genre for this week is narrative nonfiction. Narrative means it's told like a story, and nonfiction means there's going to be facts. There's going to be lots of information for you. And when we get to our vocabulary words, we'll see, boy, yeah, some of these are pretty informative. Let's get with our little introduction here. It says, how are living things connected? You see you have a zebra here with a little bird on it. The relationship between the ozpecker, that's the name of that bird, and the zebra is an example of relationship that exists in the animal world. These birds eat ticks and lice off the zebra. So ticks are bad. If you have a dog, you probably have a special collar around it, or you give it a little pill, or you put some kind of dripping around its neck to help keep the ticks or the lice off of your dog. It's bad for the animals, but the zebra, of course, is not domesticated and does not live on our homes with us and doesn't have us protected. And it has fleas and ticks too, which could hurt the zebra. Well, the ozpecker is hungry, and it loves to eat ticks, and it loves to eat fleas, although they're kind of hard to find unless the ozpecker finds a zebra. So the zebra gets his coat taking care of all of its ticks and fleas, and the ozpecker gets a big full belly, and they're both happy. The bird also screeches loudly if a predator is approaching. And so the bird has this keen sense for lions or tigers or whatever would eat a zebra, and the bird makes this big raucous, letting the zebras know, look out, over there, one of those big cats is about to pounce on you. And so what a great relationship here. What are some of the other examples of relationships between animals? Now, there is one relationship that we'll study later in the year with Miss Heather from the zoo, and it's a relationship between a badger and a coyote. And it's kind of strange because both of them are predators, and they both are after the same animal. However, the coyote chases the rabbit into its burrow, and the badger, who's a little bit slower, comes along, and the badger's got these amazing claws for digging, and he digs the rabbit out, and the coyote and the badger actually share the meal. Now, pretty strange relationship there, but it's interesting when Miss Heather shows you the video of the badger and the coyote running side by side through the prairie. All right, how are animals and plants connected? Hopefully you've been studying that already in science. If not, we're just about there. But animals and plants are connected by, well, the sun makes the plants green, which allows them to produce their own food, and animals eat plants. And so we have this food chain where animals and plants have pretty important roles with each other. All right, well, let's take a look at our vocabulary. You can turn your page. Last week, one of my students said it was hard to see some of the words more, so I'm going to move it up a little closer, and if I step off the screen, it's okay. The first one is crumble. He said the old brick wall had crumbled over the years. Sometimes we see these crumblings after an earthquake, or because it's been there for a long time. Our school building that's only about 18 years old now has a few cracks in different places that we fix, but as things get older, sometimes they crack or crumble. The definition of crumble is broke into smaller pieces. Crumble is to broken into smaller pieces. What would be a synonym for crumble? Sometimes when I think about breaking down into smaller pieces, I think about crushing. Have you ever taken some ice and crushed it, or maybe you got one of those machines where you put ice cubes in it and it goes around and it scrapes them, and then you can make these snow cones out of it? Yeah, crushing and crumbling are similar. The second one is drought. The picture that looks like this dried up farmer's field. Because of the lack of rain, farmers' crops die during the drought. A drought is a lack of water. And that's what it says here. Long periods of dry weather without rain. A lack of rain and precipitation can cause a drought. Now, droughts sometimes cause famines. Famines when we're without food. Droughts when we're without water for a long period of time. Our third word is ecosystem, and I just love this picture. It's just so beautiful, bright, and colorful. Only one time in my life have I actually gotten to go snorkeling, and that was when my wife and I were on our honeymoon. We went to Jamaica, and we got to go snorkeling, and we got to see coral like this. And this picture is beautiful, but it's nothing compared to being down there and all the little fish that are swimming in and out, darting here and there, and the different colors of coral. It's just beautiful. If you ever get a chance to go snorkeling, do it. A reef ecosystem can be disrupted if you remove one species that lives there. And what's the definition of an ecosystem? It's all the living and non-living things in an area. So in my backyard, you would have living things. You got my garden, and you have some flowers, and there's some grass, and there's some shrubs, there's some trees behind me in the woods. But we also have a lot of non-living things there. The dirt and the rocks are some of the things that are non-living that make up that ecosystem. Ecosystem, all the living and non-living things. Extinct. This is the American buffalo, and they're making a comeback, but at one time, there used to be millions of buffalo ranging on the plains. Well, then, of course, good old humans came and started buying up all the land and putting fences so the buffalo couldn't roam as much. We also took a lot of buffalo out by shooting them, by hunting them. Well, the word extinct, its definition is no longer exist. The buffalo are not extinct, but they were this close. Down to about 300 was what they had estimated for the American buffalo. Flourished. What a field this is. Could you imagine walking through a field of these sunflowers? How beautiful, how tall they grow. And they all point their heads towards the sun to suck up as much energy as they can. The word is flourish means to thrive or to grow very strongly. The sunflowers grew tall and flourished in the rich soil. At my old house, we used to have a garden, and every year I bring in more soil, because my plants just didn't grow real well. Well, the soil at that house was real clay, and clay was good because it held a lot of water in the spring, and so the plants would shoot up, but in the summer, the clay would dry out and get really, really hard, making it hard for the plants' roots to grow. And so my plants never really flourished in that clay soil, so rich soil helps them flourish. All right, 3 left. Fragile. Tom held the nest carefully because he was afraid the fragile eggs must break. Sometimes when it's really super windy, bird's nests can get knocked out of a tree. Well, this one still had eggs in, and the eggs, eggs are pretty fragile. Well, fragile means delicate and tends to break easily. Oh, I broke my mom's vase once when I was a little kid. Yeah, I was sitting on a table, and we were playing tag in the house. I know, we weren't supposed to do that. And I dove underneath the table to get away from my sister. My back hit the table. It wobbled the vase enough, and it shattered into a bazillion pieces. Why? Because it was so fragile. Made of real thin glass, fragile. Definition of fragile, delicate, and tends to break easily. 2 left. Imbalanced. Too much algae created an imbalance in the pond's ecosystem. Have you ever seen a pond that was just covered with green algae everywhere? And, well, obviously that frog eats some of the algae, so he doesn't mind it too much. But, doesn't look like it's much fun swimming in that green pea soup almost. Well, imbalance is its parts are not in an equal, steady, or secure position. We'd have a real imbalance if we were in school and we had 10 teachers in this classroom teaching and 1 student. That would be a weird imbalance. Same the other way, if we had 100 students in this class and 1 teacher, that would be a big imbalance. Last one, ripples. The water ripples around the swimming dog. I like to throw a big rock into the lake sometimes, and the ripples kind of go out from it. We missed our beach cleanup, which was kind of a bummer. But one of the things I like to do with beach cleanup is to throw the skipping rocks. And as they hit the water, those ripples come out from it. Those are just really super small waves. You can kind of see them here and here and here as they're going away from where the dog is swimming. Pretty exciting story this week. If you turn the page, it's called Rescuing Our Reefs. And it's a narrative nonfiction told like a story. These guys are going to tell you about their story and tons of facts in it. Look forward to reading with me in our next video.